Hello again everybody, welcome back to another review. Doing things a little bit different this time round. Gonna start the review on the bike and then get off and talk about various bits and bobs. So yeah, as you'll know from the title of this video, this is the Ducati Multistrada. It's the 1200S and it is one of Ducati's sort of adventure style bikes. Now, Ducati do an enduro version of this. Now, the only difference between this and the enduro, or differences I should say, are the size of the wheels, the fact that the enduro has spoked wheels as well, and also the fuel capacity on the enduro. So this standard S has a 20 litre fuel tank, the enduro actually has a 30 litre, which is probably quite a good thing because neither of the two bikes have massively great fuel efficiency. You're looking at about 40-45 miles to the gallon. But, you know, and I say this because compared to things like the Suzuki V-Strom and the Africa Twin Honda, which both do about 60, that's fairly poor. Until you remember that this does have 160 brake horsepower. So, you know, this bike is actually, it's an adventure bike, but it's designed to keep up with the sports bikes, and it does, for various reasons. I'll get to this in a minute. So let's start going through the technical stuff. Suspension. We have got computer controlled active suspension, which basically adjusts the preload and the dampening and everything else as you're going along to make a smooth, comfortable ride. It also senses under hard braking and reduces the amount of dip you get on the front end when you're braking hard, so that's a really nice feature. What else do we got? The engine itself has a variable valve timing system in it, which aims to make the power smooth and reliable throughout the whole rev range. Yes, stop there please sir. What else have we got? Feature wise, so we've got traction control, obviously. I'm pretty sure it's a standard Bosch traction control system. I believe it's an 8-stage one in this particular bike. ABS, a standard. It's got cornering ABS. Anyone who's seen my previous video on the Suzuki V-Strom 1000 will know that cornering ABS you know, takes into account lean angle and everything else when, you know, making its calculations to stop you skidding out. It also has what they like to call the Ducati wheelie control system. So again, what that does is sense how much accelerator you're giving it, and it adjusts the power accordingly to give you maximum acceleration whilst keeping the front wheel on the ground. This is adjustable. You can turn it off if you do want to get the wheel up. Similar with the traction control and everything else, these can all be adjusted. What else have we got? Different drive modes, which when we stop I'll show you all of those, but basically we've got enduro, touring, sport and urban, and each of the different modes has different levels of traction control, different levels of power. I've got it on touring at the minute, which has the traction control completely on, but it gives you the full 160 brakes, so it's kind of like a nice setting to have it on for a test. What else? So yeah, obviously the suspension system adjusts itself as you're going along, but you can also manually adjust it for softer or harsher ride. You can do it all with that switch gear there. What else can you adjust? Pretty much everything. I'm just trying to remember. There's so much to think about on this bike, so much to remember that it has. Factory fitted heated grips, which I now have on and are doing a lovely job. What else? God, my mind has gone blank. It's terrible. I'm supposed to be doing a review of this thing and I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. What else have we got? For the adjustable suspension, engine. Oh yeah, that's right, a multimedia system. We have a multimedia system, so links up to your helmet. Speaking of which, mine is misting up. And basically you can attach your phone to this via the Bluetooth and then go ahead and control it all from, again, the switch gears here, which is fantastic. you know, you can listen to your tunes, have your sat nav going, whatever. It's a fairly nice feature. Oh, my helmet is annoying me, come on. It's getting all misty, I can't open it. Anyway, right, if I can remember more about the technical gubbins, I will let you know later, but for now let's get on with what it's actually like to ride, because that's important. It's very nice indeed. It handles beautifully. It's got very reassuring handling. I've said that many times about many bikes, but it is very reassuring. It's surprisingly light to chuck around. I mean, it's a relatively long bike and it is a big adventure bike, but it has a sports bike type feel to it, albeit a lot more comfortable, which is quite nice. Other creature comforts, so this screen is adjustable like so, just like that, so that's very, very nice. The seat itself, now as anyone who's seen my previous reviews will know, I am a big fan of comfortable bikes, and comfort is one of the things I do look at, and the seat on this bike is incredibly comfortable. It's lovely, it really is very, very nice, but you'd expect that. I mean, this bike, it costs around £16,000. Now that's not bad, if I'm totally honest. I mean, it's not that much more than an Africa Twin, or, you know, it's not too bad, and for what you get, it's quite brilliant. So now, going back to what I was saying about this bike being able to keep up with the sports bikes, the engine is essentially out of one of their super sport bikes, so it's no slouch. And that active suspension and everything else just means that even though it is an adventure bike, it holds the road really nicely. The only thing is though, the only thing I am noticing is the controls aren't very reassuring. So, like, you know when you put the indicators on a bike, or you press a button or something, on some bikes you just get a really reassuring kind of click to let you know that it is actually engaged. With this, not so much. Like when I put the indicator on, it doesn't feel like I've moved the button, it doesn't feel very reassuring. And similarly, the back brake actually feels a little bit like when I was first riding this for a bit, I kind of wasn't sure if I was actually pressing the back brake or not, which was a little bit disconcerting. But I mean, once I got used to riding it, it was absolutely fine, but I just kind of thought that was a little bit, you know, I wouldn't mind if the controls were a little bit more reassuring, you know, to let me know that I've actually engaged them. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, that's a very minor thing, you know, to be honest. You know, when you consider everything else, it's not really a problem. You've got good weather protection on this bike, I must say. It is actually raining at the minute, but I'm not getting too wet, and the wind's being thrown around me quite nicely. Very, very comfortable. I do wish it was slightly better on fuel. I kind of feel, I mean, for a 1200cc, I suppose it's not bad, but I just feel it could be a little bit better. It's this one thing. But overall, I love this. I really do love this. I mean, I always had a misconception about Ducatis, that they were very, very expensive and very, very unreliable. But I mean, this is expensive, but it's not that expensive. And reliability-wise, it's supposed to be very good. So, you know, I can't say too much bad about it. Right, I'm going to try and find somewhere to pull over in a minute, and we will have a little conversation about styling and everything else. Should be able to pull over quite soon, actually, if I am lucky. It's a very nice ride. Very nice ride indeed. I'm not sure if I'd say it was necessarily any better than the Suzuki though. And I must admit, if I'm totally honest with you, because this variable valve timings gubbins is supposed to smooth it out, make it, you know, make it nice, smooth and reliable through the rev range, but to be perfectly honest, it doesn't feel like it's doing anything. This engine, it's smooth enough anyway, but you know, it doesn't feel any less smooth than a normal parallel twin. I mean, it actually feels about as smooth as the V-Strom's V-twin. I mean, this is an L-twin, you know, it's a 90-degree crank instead of a 45-degree crank, but really, there's not much difference. It feels about the same. It's just a little bit choppy. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want a totally smooth engine, you really want a straight 4. But then, you know, this will have more torque. Being a twin, being an L-twin, it'll have a decent amount of torque, which is quite nice, because obviously you have got the option of off-roading this thing. You know, you can this where okay, when I say off-roading, obviously the Enduro will be better at off-roading with this, with the spoked wheels and everything else, but the Standard S will off-road a little bit quite nicely. You know, if you're just going on an adventure across Europe or whatever, you're going to come across some rutty roads, then this is perfectly fine. You don't need the Enduro version really, as if you want to go around the world properly, like, you know, I'm talking long way down type stuff, riding across the bits where roads don't exist. But for everything else, this is just fine. I mean, that active suspension will more than make up for the horrible bumps in the road. And actually, to be honest, in England's roads, I think this is a perfect bike, because we've got some shite roads, some really shite roads. Right, let's find somewhere to pull over. Ooh, is this somewhere we can pull over? Do you know what? Yes it is. Just about. Right, let's put this in neutral and turn it off a minute. It's in there somewhere. Second, neutral. That was quite hard to get it into neutral. Right, where's the stand? And let's get it on the slight more even ground, because I don't want to drop it. Good. Okay, so, oh my god, why is this visor not going up? That's better. So yeah, as you can see, I mean, this seat, this is a very nice, very comfortable seat. It's really perfect. Nice passenger seat as well. I quite like, that's nice and wide. I mean, you know, quite often with passenger seats, they can be a little bit, you know, bike manufacturers don't necessarily put too much thought into the passenger, but, you know, that's a good amount of seat. Right, let's go around and look at the styling. So from this angle, very, very nice. I mean, as you'd expect, it's a Ducati. You know, it's Italian style. The attention to detail, I mean, just look at the lines on the grab rail at the back. Look at the lines even on something as simple as the mirrors. They've put so much attention to detail into this thing. It's beautiful. This is quite nice. A little bit of a tank protector here as well. So, moving round. I mean, from the back, looks gorgeous. We've got a single-sided swing arm. We've got single-sided suspension there, so it can all be... Well, no, I say it can all be adjusted. So on the 900 version, you need to adjust it manually. Obviously, on this version, not really so much of an issue, because it does it all for you. Moving on. I like the one side, you know, the single-sided swing arm. That's nice, because, you know, that makes that wheel look beautiful. Right, exhaust. That's got to be one of the nicer standard exhaust systems I've seen on a bike. But again, you'd expect no less from Ducati. It sounds quite nice as well. Hopefully you've heard it as we were going along. I'll give you another sound thing in a minute. But yeah, so you can see what I mean here about the L-shape engine. So you've got one cylinder there, another cylinder there. It all looks so lovely. I like you've got the colour matched frame. That's all very nice. It's a nice bit of cowling here to protect the underneath. Comes with both side and centre stands as well, which is a lovely little thing. Right, wheels and brakes. So we have got Brembo brakes front and rear. They do a fantastic job. That with the ABS system, they are immense. You know, you're certainly not going to have any trouble stopping. And then we get around the front. Now, it's not that it's not pretty, it's just I don't personally think it looks all that amazing from the front. It looks like the person who designed it was a big fan of Angry Birds. It's got like a hawk-like look to it. I mean, look at that. But at the end of the day, you know, from an aerodynamic perspective, I suppose giving it the face of a streamlined aerial predator, you know, you can't go far wrong with that. It's going to be fairly aerodynamic, so, you know, fair play. The other thing is, actually, it's got a face, hasn't it? You know, some bikes are a bit dreary, this has a face, so it kind of gives it a bit more character. Going back to the attention to detail, I like all this. So these handguards are very nice, but I like they've got the integrated indicators in the handguards there, so that's quite nice. So yeah, overall, I mean, it's a pretty enough bike. Have you got? Oh look, I've just noticed this as well. So you've got the radiator at the back here. You've actually got a what is that? Like a? I'm guessing that's an oil cooler in the front. Yeah, that's got to be an oil cooler, isn't it? At the front there. That's quite cool. So everything's functional. I mean, you know, you look at these big vents and you wonder what they do. Well, there's an oil cooler there, so it's all, you know, all functional. But, you know, yeah. I mean, overall, I say the front of the bike to me looks a bit odd, but fine. But overall, it's a pretty bike. Now, if I was to compare it to the Suzuki and the Africa Twin and things like that, it's a difficult one. This is definitely a very, very comfortable bike. There's no doubt about that. The seat height's good as well. If you're a slightly shorter rider, I should point this out, the seat height on this is actually slightly lower, so you probably find you'll be absolutely fine on this. Maybe not so much with the Honda or the Suzuki, but this you'd probably be alright with. If I'm not much mistaken, the suspension is adjustable anyway to lower it down a bit as well, so, you know, that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, differences between them... You get a lot on this bike. You get a lot of gadgetry. You get a lot of, you know, technical assistance and stuff like that. But when you're actually riding along, once you've set all those things, once you've been through all the menus and everything else, and you're actually just riding the bike, I don't think this is much different. I mean, if I was to, you know, choose between this and the Suzuki V-Strom, I'd probably choose the V-Strom. I mean, it's got 60 brake horsepower less, but riding it the way I do, it doesn't really make any difference. Because I'm not interested in keeping up with sports bikes, which this can do. I'm more interested in cruising along in comfort. But anyway, let's get back on and go through all the menus and stuff, because I'm sure you'll be very interested in that. So, first things first, keyless system. Right, hang on a minute. I will get it out of my pocket. So, we have a keyless fob. Look at that. Isn't that cool? But, yeah, still got a standard key thing for the gas tank and everything. Right. Ow. It just pinched me. Anyway, so what we have to do is put this here, like that, and then press this button, and up comes all that. Isn't that cool? Right, so, on here we've got all the information you could possibly need to know. Oh, actually, we are getting close to 50 miles to the gallon out of this particular one, the way I've been riding it anyway, so that's actually not too bad. I retract my previous statement about it being a bit naff on fuel efficiency. It's actually not too bad. So we've got coolant temperature, fuel. This is a nice display, actually. It's nice and clear. When it gets dark, it switches the other way around, so the screen goes black and the digits go white for extra clarity. What else have we got? So the multimedia systems, as I said before, you can attach the Bluetooth to this and listen to music or whatever, or have your, you know, your phone conversations going through it. It can all be controlled off of this stuff here. This also has cruise control. Oh, and I've turned it off again. Now, cruise control on this is exactly the same as it is in most cars. You can just switch it on with this stuff here, set the speed, and off you go. So if you're going on a particularly long journey, then that's obviously going to be quite nice. You know, don't have to worry about the throttle or anything. What else? Let's turn it back on. Tell you what, I'll turn the engine on so she doesn't kill herself again. There we go. Right, so, where was I? Menus. Let's go through the menus. So we press this button here, and yeah, so we can go through all the different options. So we've got, urban, enduro, so that's engine low power, ABS. So on touring, so that's the Ducati wheelie control system, that's on 3 there. Come back to it. And then front and rear preloads. I'm going to stick up on sport actually, which gives us gives us full power, turns the traction control to the lower setting. It keeps the wheelie control on because obviously it wants to be able to go as fast as possible without, you know, getting that front wheel up to keep up with the super bikes. And that's basically about it. What else? Oh, and we've got a little thing there, which I'm guessing is a electrical input, although it looks a little bit small. Actually, I don't know what that is. It looks like an electric input, but it looks a bit too small. Yeah, not sure. So yeah, overall impressions, because this is only a first ride, so you know, I can't give a in-depth kind of thing on it, but my overall impressions are, I like it very much. Do I think it's worth £16,000? Yes, because of all the gadgetry you get with it, all the electronics and computer stuff that's going on. Would I buy one myself? Yeah, probably not. You know, for my personal use, for what I want a bike to do, this is a bit overkill. It's not really worth me spending that much money when for a lot less I can get the V-Strom, which suits my needs much better. But overall, would I recommend this? Yes, absolutely. As I said before, if you're a shorter rider, it's perfect. It's got everything you could possibly want, the heated grips, everything. I mean, you know, cruise control on a bike, variable valve timing. It's a lot of bike for your money. It is a good bike, and I would definitely recommend it. So yes, I'm going to leave it there. Probably not my best review, but I will leave it there. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do give me a like and subscribe. I do reviews every Tuesday and a motor vlog and various other things on a Thursday. Do go check them out. And in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys again soon, and goodbye.